Leaders. Today is, I don't know what day it is. It's Thursday, and it is the week of Easter. And I really wanted to celebrate people that are doing amazing, amazing things in their life all over the world. And so, as you followed me, you know my passion is to celebrate people. And this week, we're talking about healthcare and starting our own businesses and people that are on the front lines. And I thought, who better to fit this bill for us, to connect us to what's going on, is our own Deb McAllister. So I have her on here, and she's going to talk to us about what's been going on as she's building her business and then now showing up with her old colleagues to jump in back to the front line during this whole COVID-19 situation. And so I'm so proud of her because this is her first week back in the battlefield. And so, Deb, thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh, thanks for having me. So excited to be
Oh,
here. I just love you.
this is so much fun.
Mhm.
Um, so, I want to ask you first, you have been a John Maxwell coach, speaker, trainer, building this business around what you knew, which was healthcare for all these years. And and so you have gone through this journey of really discovering yourself. And I think it's so great to have you on here because your story is so much like everybody else's. You've gone back to school. You've achieved great success. And you have tried to do this side hustle and really understand what your purpose is. Stepping into that. And you've achieved so much through that. And and now you have a new website, and in the middle of everything, right? Things are just kind of rolling down the hill and you're saying, "Here we go." And now COVID-19 happens. And and you say, "But here's where I have to be right now. I have to be back on the battlefield. I have to do what my heart is pulling me to do right now to show up in our culture." And and that's really what leaders do. You have adjusted the sails. So many analogies, right? But you've pulled back and said, "But here's where I have to show up right now. This is where I'm needed." So tell our listeners, everybody, what's been going on in your mind. Everybody's going through transitions. Everybody's a little freaked out, a little panicked. It's week 4, and we're thinking tomorrow is week 4 since we were told stay at home, be quarantined. And we hear that it's, you know, next couple of weeks are going to be the height of the COVID-19, and so we have to really stay quarantined, and it's really difficult because now we're really getting cooped up. We're really getting cooped up. But I want you to share with us like what's been going through your mind because you had to make a big decision this week to go back into that environment.
Yes. So about 4 weeks ago, 4 to 5 weeks ago, where I was doing, healthcare, lean, Six Sigma process improvement, problem solving, coaching some of the leaders, and we were considered, non-essentials in our organization, and so we were sent home, and we were working on a project, so we had work to do, and got a little lost in it, honestly, where you're like, what day is it? Oh, is it Wednesday? Is it Friday? Did I shower? Like, did I brush my teeth today? And you're working, but I could feel like in the back of my mind going, okay, you're safe. You're okay. But there was something tugging at me because I have been so focused on working my side hustle and coaching people that I I kept being pulled. And so what I did is I first put the oxygen on myself, got myself grounded, reached out to some of my peeps And on the good days, which mostly I had good days, but there were days where I was on the floor, like, oh my gosh, like I'm not ready for what's happening. And then I realized I've always been ready. I was, I was, I've been preparing for these moments my whole life. You know, I'm a single. I'm single. I'm the oldest child in the 70s. You know, come home with the key around your neck. Hopefully, it doesn't hit you when you're out there playing on the playground. You know, growing up and being a single mom, and so it just has built. As you said, we've been spending so much time with our leaders and learning and developing and really taking a look in the mirror. And so as I was home, I reached out and I said, okay, coach, you need to put me in. These people need help. I'm good. Like, I'm in a good place. I've been coaching people at home through their moments and realizing, like, you know, you need to put me in because they need help with processes, because those leaders are helping their staff. But who's helping our leaders? Who's going to sit with them on their days? Because vulnerability can be seen as a weakness. But they're people. And so how can I support them? And so now I've been pulled into our command center at the hospital, and where I'm at is we're creating 1,500 more beds. We're usually 800 beds. So we're converting a 4-story parking garage in weeks to a hospital.
Wow.
So I thought, you know, I'm process. I think process, and I think leaders. Like, are they taking care of themselves? You know, and so um, I've been working this week, and it has been. I'm just so thankful that when I show up and mask up and go through all the processes physically of how you go in there, because nobody's allowed in. You know, it's a big hospital and it's really quiet,
Mm-hmm.
and there's security at the door, and you know you're walking into like almost the battle right before it happens. Like, it's the calm before the storm, even though we have patients in the hospital already and our numbers are growing where I live. Um, we know what it's going to get like. And so being able to contribute and hold space for those leaders and have them share what they've been going through, and then, you know, using my analytical skills, my problem solving, and my leadership of like, okay, I'm just going to make some decisions here, and hopefully I'm not upsetting too many people, because somebody's got to do it, and it's not even my area.
But you know, that's the
But
thing.
I know how to make decisions, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not afraid to. And so, and I am supported by the leadership. So the leadership there is really our leaders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they are demonstrating what John talks about. You know, showing the way, right? And then they get out of the way and let people do what they do. And so, I feel really blessed that they're finding value. You know, that I'm able to help validate the processes, their staff. And so when I come home and I have that new routine of coming in through the garage and unmasking your clothes and running to the shower, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you're like, okay, this is, you know, you feel so honored that they trust you. You know, there's not a lot of time for some of these leaders. I don't know them, and so I don't have these long established relationships with some of them, where you walk in and they just know, okay, Deb's here, we're okay. But
Mm-hmm.
so having to quickly establish that rapport, and I know I can do that. That's what I've been working on my whole life, and it does feel like I've been honored that I chose this in a lot of ways. And when I go in there, it's not about me. It's about, what do they need? How can I serve them? And and they're amazing. They really are amazing. people, what they're risking to show up every day. And for people they don't even know, they'll never know, but to support their community. And so how can I support them? Is I just feel very honored that I'm able to do that, and that I've prepared myself for this, even though I didn't realize this is what part of what I was doing, and how they collide. Your purpose of empowering others and leading the way, and it just shows up a little differently, right? Sometimes our dreams kind of go a little sideways, and we're like, where's this dot? I like to quote Stephen Jobs, at the Stanford commencement about, we have all these different dots, and sometimes they don't seem like they connect, but when you look backwards, you see the connections.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't realize that this would be one of those dots.
Mm-hmm.
And it fits beautifully with everything,
Isn't that
especially over
amazing?
the years, right, that since we've connected, and it was so powerful.
So powerful. You don't understand every opportunity that you have every day, every conversation, every time you say yes. It's an opportunity to grow into something that you don't know, to get to know someone on just a foundational level. You know who they are, why they care about the things that they do. And I've been in healthcare for years, and I get it. When you say we just show up, we just show up for others because it's in our heart. And every single person that has gone, whatever kind of training that you've done, if you're in the military, if you're in healthcare, if you're any kind of a servant leader, it's not just about healthcare. You show up because you want to serve others, and that's from your soul. Nobody can take that away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you learn how to serve bigger and how to be a better leader and how to really engage and just absolutely give when you show up, that's when you kind of get it. You come in and you say, what has to be done? How can I add value? And because it's really difficult right now, the decisions that you're seeing and that are happening all around you, they're happening in every single community, every hospital, every police department, every school system. We're all feeling this fear and panic. And the people that have been trained to be leaders are stepping up and realizing, what is that going to look like? What are the decisions that I have to start making that I've never had to think about before? And you said something really important, that you've been trained for this, that you've been preparing for this. Because you didn't have this kind of situation any time before in your life.
No, it wasn't on my bucket list to go through a pandemic. I did my vision board this year, and I didn't actually
You
draw that
didn't
in
see it.
either. I'm like, nope, I think I missed it.
You didn't see it,
But
right?
it is, and but it's here,
But it's
and
here.
that's how life happens.
Mhm.
You go through enough life. I call myself, I'm seasoned now, being in my early 50s, seen a lot, and some self-induced, some from decisions, um, but some very blessed mentors along the way who I feel like have led me here and have provided and believed in me when I didn't always believe in myself, and saw something in me. And so I believe it's my purpose to help others see that in themselves, and that it doesn't matter when we're looking at bringing a hospital, right? 1,400 people, 1,400 souls. That could be my grandmother or your Uncle Joe, or it's somebody's loved one. 1,400 beds. If you've ever been, if you're in healthcare, you know how long it takes to get a permit to build a building. Right? Like they plan them out years in the makings of where hospitals will be met. And so pulling this all together, every single person is stepping up. And every day I am awed by what people are doing. Just, right? Like, what are their strengths? You know, the people who are cleaning, the techs who are pushing the transportation, the security people, the nurses who are there, our medical assistants, and our nurse practitioners, and our MDs and D execs, and it takes a whole team.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a whole team, and they all have their strengths, and they're all bringing value, right? We have people delivering meals. You have to find out, where's the pizza today, right? Because apparently there's people delivering food every day for the people on the front line.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a community where you can pull in. We have a big pull in, and you can go pick up stuff to make mess. And our community that I live in has just, hurrahed around their resources. This hospital system has been there for a long time in this community, and we're the largest, and people are doing it. They man people. They moved them from other areas to be out there, as well as volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's rather remarkable on how people will respond, and I'm proud to be part of an organization that values.
I think what's so important here is your story. It has so much value because for so many times, right, we've all been there, and your story is similar, but we're all unique. And when you think about how you wanted to show up and add value before, right? You're in a job and you think, I'm showing up every day, and why can't people see how much I want to give? I'm going back, I'm killing myself to get these degrees so that I can show up and I can add more and I can be more and I can help more and I can add more value. And you decide, you know what? I know what I can do. I am empowered. I'm going to start my own journey on the side,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to help other people feel what I did. I'm going to help them feel empowered. I'm going to help them get to their vision board and start achieving their goals that they never thought possible.
Mm-hmm.
And in the middle of doing that, in the middle of finding yourself, you're now called back into the same hotbed, if you will. You're called back into the same environment that you were a part of. And now you get to come back and absolutely change the game because you've been preparing, you've been studying, you've been called to fill this specific role at this specific time with these specific skills and raise the level of leadership in your area. And that's what I'm so proud of you for because you have grown in 3 years. Oh my goodness. The things that I've watched you accomplish and what you believe about yourself. That's the message here. When you start to believe differently about your journey and the things that you can do for your own life, then you begin to show up for other people, specifically for other people. And it changes your perspective of gratitude. And I'm so thankful for you in my life and for what you're doing and all of the workers that are out there on the front line. It's just, it's something that you can't even understand, right? Unless you're right there.
Yeah, and it's hard to put into words, their dedication. And it would be easy to question because I'm not clear, I'm not clinical. It would be easy to question yourself of, well, how do I add value?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm a problem solver, and I think process flows. And if the leader is spending the time with their staff, supporting them emotionally in those private conversations, that takes time for a leader to be able to do that. And not only run some of the day-to-day stuff, but to think about how they're going to prepare for this. And so
Mm-hmm.
it started out where I thought I'd be helping with some process flows. And in the meantime, everybody's been coached along the way. Like, how are you doing? This is how I started out. How are you doing? How's your self-care?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ate today?
Mm-hmm.
Can you take the mask off? Have you drank any water? Um, are you sleeping? What do you have for your mindfulness practice? If that's prayer or meditation or both or walking or maybe planting some things because it's spring. Maybe they're a gardener. I don't know, but somewhere where they can reconnect their soul to themselves and not get so heavily weighed down. And so um, I've just simply asking and caring. It's been, like I end up doing that by default. It just comes out of my mouth. I didn't go there to focus on it, right? But then I'm like, okay, so let's pause. Like, so how are you? What do you need? And I do believe, because I did graduate a little over a year ago with my master's, right at 52. And so, I finished my bachelor's at 40, being a single mom. So I went to school for 15 years, part time, raising my son. And, when I graduated, he was in high school. And I think he was the loudest screamer in the auditorium, right? As I'm walking over. But I remember along the way, like it was definitely not easy, trying to figure out that balance of what do you do? How do you make it all work? And when you have passion and you believe in something, and I didn't know who I would be at the end of that. All I knew is I'd have some piece of paper. That's what I thought I started out for, right? Give me a piece of paper. And in the meantime, the journey, there's so much depth in the journey. And then, waiting a few years and going for my master's. And I first started as a straight master's degree. And then I realized it was boring because I already had my bachelor's in business administration. I thought, well, I could get straight A's and just do it. But I wanted it to mean something. I wanted to learn and challenge myself. I wanted to stretch that rubber band, right? The law of the rubber band.
That's right.
Needed some
Keep
uncomfortableness.
that tension, right? That's what
Mhm.
some people are struggling with right now, Deb. So as you're talking, they're saying, I don't want that. Everything is uncomfortable right now. I don't want to put myself in any more of a position where I don't know something because I don't know what to expect tomorrow. We keep getting the quarantine extended. We keep having to go figure out how we're going to get to the grocery store when they've closed the hours down, right? Everything around us is out of our control right now.
But that's the funny thing. It's always been out of our control. It's been an illusion. And I see it's this great opportunity for people to realize, what other illusions do I have in my life? What other beliefs do I believe in? What's stopping me? Oh, it might be, that law of the reflection, where you pick up the mirror and say, before I can give back to others, I first have to look at what's in my vision. And we've never had control. Because if you make a plan, that's nice. You make a plan knowing it's going to change. But you do have to make a plan. We can't get so stuck on the how. If you had told me when I started out, really getting serious as a single mom at 24, making very low wages, but working hard, that this is who I would be now. No, like my work is completely different. I'm different. The what you learn along the way and the people you meet. Like, look, we've met, right? Like, how would I have ever met you if I wasn't uncomfortable? And there's some comfort in the uncomfortableness,
Mm-hmm.
knowing now, trusting it, like, oh, I wonder who I'm going to meet, what experiences I'm going to have, right? Like, they're going to be better than I can ever imagine because having to work on those belief systems, having mentors who help us push us, that
Mm-hmm.
first person who really believed in me. I mean, really believed in me in a professional capacity, saying, and it was through a failure
Mm-hmm.
of when I first went to become a Six Sigma person, and I failed. Like I got sick. I got migraines because I was so stressed. And so he's like, okay, so you're going to learn what are you going to change? Because I'm sending you back in 3 months. You better go figure it out. And I'm like, what? And I'm going to send you across the country so you can't drive home and take on all those responsibilities. So you got a lot to go figure out, go do it. And I think that was one of the first things along the way too, of like, wow, I really can do this. I don't have to be a statistician, which I'm not by any means. But that's okay. That's not my strength. But you know what? I know statisticians, and I know how to hold up that mirror because somebody held it up for me, and then starting to believe it along the way. And when people realize that what they think is so easy and everybody can do it, that's not. No,
Mm-hmm.
nobody can do it just like you. You know,
Right.
nobody can do. Nobody's you. Everybody else is taken. So you might as well be you. you know, own that.
That's
Own that. Like I've been told my whole life I was so emotional, so and like when I discovered Renee Brown, I was like, I'm just vulnerable. I just live my life being vulnerable, and sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't, but I can't change that. And once I started connecting with people who are like, I love that you do that because you make me feel like I can be myself, and it brings out that part of me. And so I think we all have our superheroes within us. What's your superhero trait? Maybe
right.
it's whatever that is, it's what makes us us. And you might have the same strength. And isn't that fantastic? But you're not me and I'm not you. And our own unique little components of all those different personalities, our experiences, how we grew up, our beliefs. And you simply by being positive and encourage me, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I am remarkable. Okay. Like,
Absolutely.
and seeing that in others and really like playing it forward. It's I feel like at this point in my life, I have been so blessed with so many amazing people, mentors, colleagues, my JMT family, of just but that belief and picking each other up,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not if you're going to fall down, because
That's
we all
right.
fall down. It's picking each other up and loving on each other and being respectful and just simply asking, what do you need? I don't need to bring you Kleenex. I just need to ask you what you need. Maybe you don't want a Kleenex. It's just listening,
Mm-hmm.
really listening to somebody else. And so if that's your strength, there's a lot of people who need people to
Yeah.
listen to them and simply ask them. I think we all have a part of this in us. You don't have to be clinical to make a difference.
Right. That's so important right now. For those of us that are surrounded by those gifts and we say we know what those are and we're trying to use those the best of our capacity. There are so many people that are trying to reinvent themselves and saying, "Oh, if you don't do these things, you're going to fall way behind during all this." And I think, as you have just taken us through, what you've decided to do was to just stop and let things be and show up where you are needed right now. Go
Mhm.
back and do what you've been training for, really listening to your own self and saying, a quote that my girlfriend Melanie Fusilier always says, she said it the first day of the John Maxwell conference, is when you walk with purpose, you collide with destiny.
I love that.
I know, I love it too. I'm like, I'm stealing that one
Yeah.
because it's so true when you think
Mhm.
about your walk every single day. and you are purposeful in that. And, my favorite growth book is The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth.
Mhm.
And chapter one is intentionality. And it just talks to us about, right? Exactly. Exactly.
It's always here.
And if you are not intentional, you don't have any control over your day. And we don't have any control over what's going to happen on the outside. But what we do have control over is everything that we feel, how it affects us. And so, John Maxwell is a great mentor of so many people, but he keeps encouraging us every single day to say, look, it's what is changing on the inside of you through all of this. How are you impacting the world? How are you impacting those people that you go into? How are teachers impacting their students? Many of them around the country are making signs and they're driving by the students' houses because they can't connect to them at school, but they're wanting to go back into their own communities. You just see people making masks everywhere, trying to collect them and get them to the hospitals. And it's anything that you do, checking on your neighbor. Our neighborhood's making bears they're putting in windows for the kids when they go by,
Mhm.
so that the kids could play a game or count the bears. Or there's just a lot of creativity that's happening
Mhm.
because you just have to show up where you are. You don't have to be somebody else. You don't have to start a program. You don't have to like lose weight. You don't have to start cooking, and being a chef just because you're home. It's like just be at peace and start to understand how you can show up in the world. What do people come to you for? And then just help people. Just show up and add value to people.
Yeah, and reaching out to, I mean, how many people have you talked to that you haven't talked to in the last year? That you wanted more time? Well, we have, even when you're working at home or going in, we have the time. It's what we have made our priorities. And maybe some of our priorities were a little out of line. And that's okay. No judgment. But we have that time to reflect and really figure out what's important. You know,
Mhm.
I spend a lot of time, I just finished, can't believe it's already been a year, but I did finish, I decided to get married again and, finish my master's and then, you know, sell a house and move across the US. No, yeah, no big deal, but
Adult goals, right?
oh my gosh, I bit off a little bit more than I could chew there. But what I had to do was take it day by day and reach for help, you
Mhm.
know, and knowing that I could do this and having that compassion for myself on those days where I just felt a little overwhelmed and I had to have somebody remind me, you just moved like multiple states, you just graduated, you got married, like a fast courtship marriage, and you just wrapped up your master's. Hmm. So you haven't unpacked all your boxes in 2 weeks. You know,
It's okay.
it's okay. So it's that overused. I feel like it's overused. I've been saying it for like 20 years. When you travel, you hear the safety thing. When the oxygen masks drop, go ahead and grab it because you have to take care of yourself as well. And that is still the case. And it's not just, it's our mental health, it's our physical health. So, making sure we drink water and get outside. And maybe we can't get outside. It's been super cold here. And so it's been like, okay, maybe I'll walk around my house a little bit and play with the dog. And so, when I eat that bag of Oreos, I have to have the compassion for myself like I would for anybody else. Like
Mhm.
I matter. And it's okay that today wasn't that, but you did help others. And sometimes we have to help ourselves and with compassion and being gentle and reminding me, like, would you beat your friend up verbally You know, when you eat the whole bag of Oreos, of all the cookies, right, that somebody just made, like
Speaking of that,
those cookies were good. Yeah, exactly, right. So it's like, it is practicing the compassion that we give for others.
mhm,
It's all, I call it the self love, the self worth, that we're worth it, and to acknowledge that, you know, we all have value. We all have something to share right now. You know, maybe
absolutely.
I don't have a leadership title, but you know, leadership is simply influence, nothing more, nothing less.
Mm,
And that continually evolves through this journey.
mm,
It really makes, it really resonates. It's that onion that keeps unpeeling and keeps giving, you know, of the positive spiral up of how important it is to grow. Because like you, this 15 Invaluable Laws is, think, one of my most favorite all-time books, and I'm a reader, and I can go back and reread it and go, wow, that's right, I
every
forgot about that.
every week, I've been teaching that for 3 years every week, and I think how valuable, how you do listen and you learn and you reflect and you just see things differently every single week. Um, and it's difficult the first time that you go through it because you're like, whoa, this is pretty heavy, even though it's very simplistically written, and it connects to you. I think that's why that material connects to you because you see yourself and you go, oh my goodness, I am doing these things, or I don't know this yet, or I've never really grown.
Mhm.
I thought I was. I thought I was showing up at work and I thought I was going to the classes that I needed to, and I was learning, how to go back and get my masters, and I was learning. I was growing. But there's a difference between professional growth and personal growth.
Yeah, you know, I had somebody, I went when I was going out on my own in 16. I, of course, went and got the professional pictures done, and I absolutely loved them, right? And because I felt like I was enough. And it was when it was really starting to come in recently, pictures, because I got some, I got my eyebrows done, silly girl thing, but I hadn't had them done in like almost 2 years, right? Because I'd been so busy. And so I went and did this simple thing, but what was amazing is I just took the selfie in the car, and she sees it on my feed. She's like, what has you have transformed? What's this all about? Like, what's this energy all about? And I think to myself, well, no, I think I'm the same. And then I go listen to an old recording of um, a mastermind. I was like, wow, I really have changed. Like,
Mhm.
there's this calm knowing that so much is cementing itself, and it's not all like I don't feel like I have this mask on. Like, I'm all me, and I'm owning that part of myself, right? Like, that's the diva in me, getting the little, my eyebrows darkened. So I have eyes because they're so blonde, but it's that it's that little thing that meant so much to me, and understanding that, right? Like, okay, that's just part of who I am too. But um, owning owning that part of me, it's probably why I have a program called Empowering Your Inner Diva, right?
Oh, I'm going to
It's
show
really about
this.
self-love.
I'm going to show this right here, because I think it's great. And I want to share this with people. So if you're on my screen right now, you can. Oh,
Yeah, that's to get the free gift.
there we go. So, but this is what it looks like. And I'm going to scroll down here while I'm on the full screen. So, this is your new website.
It
And
it is. I
yes,
just finished it. Like, I'm like right there, like literally within the last couple days. I've learned Kajabi. I had a WordPress, and when I was deciding on really focusing on more of who I wanted to work with, and because they kept showing up,
Mm-hmm.
um, more women, you know, ambitious, really more sensitive, but women who had started down a road, maybe were getting stuck or they've lost connection with their own purpose, some passion, and and so I thought, you know, and what I realized is that a lot of them really, through it all, were kind of feeling the way I was. Like, if you really knew me, if you really peeled it back, I don't know that much, but in reality, we all do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that acceptance of our strengths and those parts that we think that aren't that lovable, and it's all that self-value and that self-worth. And we all, you know, we go searching on the outside for something that's going to make everything better, and it's really about loving ourselves and accepting those parts of ourselves, you know. And so um, I am I'm just so grateful that I've been able to spend the time, and then now it's kind of shifting, you know, with where I need to go, and that's okay because I'm still helping people, and I, you know, they all matter. Every one of us matter, and just owning that, you know, stepping into our full selves changes it changes something in the inside of us, and that, you know, if you had asked me when I was 18, this is who I would be right now, like a graduate degree, not where I grew up, you know, helping other people. Yeah, I could see myself helping other people, but not in the capacity of how I've been able to do it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's,
It becomes clear, though, right? As you grow, that's
yes.
the thing. You don't see it now. And even as John said, which was so profound, is when you start growing in 1 year, you'll really have to reintroduce yourself to yourself. And I think back 3 years, like I can say every year, I can exactly say, yes, I changed. My whole belief system about who I was
Mhm.
changed, and it gave me a bigger capacity. And so many things that we learn about leadership are, you know, expanding your capacity and understanding how to contribute to the world and how to reach what you see as significance. But that is constantly moving. That bar is constantly moving.
Is it though?
Because you grow, it just keeps stretching. It just keeps going further. And you're like, am I ever going to get there? Probably not. But you keep seeing the significance that you want to create. And so that's really the capacity that we talk about in growth is we start to understand how to resource out to bring people on the journey with us so that we can really start to appreciate all the things that we see in our soul and that we want to create in our heart.
Mhm. And we don't do it alone. You don't. It's, you know, we do become those people that we surround ourselves with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to work on more compassion, or you want to work on integrity, or you want to work on, you know, the daily discipline of something, you know, who do you know does daily discipline? Something small every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be, I started the celery juice, and I said, okay, first I thought, okay, I committed that I would do it for 30 days. And it was almost like uh, a self trust thing. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
if I can do this for 30 days, then I can do my next things. And so now I'm 5 weeks in, and it really does empower you. Something small, chopping up that celery every morning and juicing, really something so small, but it really just lifts you up. Doing something small, and you can look back and go, look, I did that. And all I did is focused on the next divine step, the next divine step. And if I'm stuck, who can help me getting better at asking for help? You know, I I'm very grateful that I have coaches in my life, and people who are there on those days that I'm like, oh, okay. I love the exercise of writing down 50 things that you love about yourself. And maybe towards the end, you're having to ask people, what do you love about me? Oh, yeah, I do that, right? Like, but really taking the time to reconnect with what do we love about ourselves? What do we really like?
What a
What do
great
we feel?
exercise right now while we're all at home, while we're all quarantined, thinking about, maybe going into every room in your house and thinking of a memory that you've had that was been special in that room from people that have been in your house with you, things that you treasure, memories that you treasure.
Yeah, because they bring out and you start feeling those feelings, and what was possible. Where were you when that memory happens? Like, what have you overcome? You know, my house is full of like sayings and inspiration stuff and the list, right? So on those days that you're like not feeling you're not feeling it, you can go look. You can go look at something and go, wow, remember when, or those simple things you can put on your social media. How have I impacted your life? And people will share with you how it could be something small,
Right.
something big, you know, that's actually how I reconnected with my husband, my new husband, right? Is that when we were in our early 20s, I stopped him at a party and I shared something about him that I was concerned about in our big group of friends. And then I didn't see him again for 20 years. And so he'd been looking for me to tell me thank you because I was the only one who actually paused and mentioned it. And at the first moment, I was like, oh, I don't, it took me a minute to remember the conversation, because I was like, well, that sounds like something I would have done if we're all socializing.
Yeah.
And now he's my husband. And and I think about, yeah, that's what I used to do when we were socializing when I was young. Oh, like, what are you stuck on? Let's get you unstuck. Let's get you, like, don't you see, like, how great you are? Like, wow, I want to write like you. I want to be able to pull something together like you.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing all of that, now has been quite, interesting. Sorry.
That's fine. Well, I think too, that's what's interesting about your story is here it is 20 years later and you reconnect, you get married and because it was authentic that connection back then
Yeah.
was so authentic. And
Mhm.
and so now you're just stepping into when you say, empowering your inner diva, that's what you're helping people do and because you're living it.
Yeah. And I always want to make sure people know Diva isn't Mariah Carey, right? Not, I love Mariah Carey actually, but love her music. But it's really, the divine, inspired, vibrant, assured woman. And that's loving and accepting you and seeing the value that you bring by being you. I don't need to be somebody else. I don't need to compare myself to somebody else. When we stop the comparisons, and our list helps, right? Knowing, what do people see in you? And sometimes we have to ask, if you don't believe, ask people who love you, people who you trust will give you a real answer about what it is that they love about you, and build that. Remind yourself the I am statements. You know, I am worth. I have value. I am love. You can start with the simple ones, and then you can build them up. I have vision. I am a diva. I didn't call myself that, by the way. I had friends who called me that. When I decided to start valuing myself more in my mid 30s, my friends nicknamed me that, Diva. And so it's just kind of grown, and then finally I'm like, I need to look at that. Like, what does that actually mean? And that's how I came up with, you know, divine, inspired, vibrant, and assured. And that is loving who you are. Like, you are enough. You matter. And, and who are you spending your time with?
Hmm.
Because somebody does value you and somebody does love you, but you get that back when it starts to be love for yourself.
Well,
And so
that's the
taking care
biggest
of
lesson,
yourself.
right? The biggest lesson is loving yourself first, and that's this message tonight, right? If you're in pain, if you are feeling like you don't matter, that this world has really just been so crazy around you, that you've got so many responsibilities and you're exhausted. Because here it is, week 4. We're coming into this holy week, and people are trying to say, yeah, but things are so different than they were a month ago. You don't understand. You have no idea what I'm going through.
Mhm.
And the thing is, every single person in this world, their life has changed. It's not just you, it is everyone in your life that has experienced some change. And change is scary. And so validating that and saying, how do I go in and take care of myself and my beliefs and be a little less fearful and a little more faithful, to be grateful for what is today.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and having the gratitude. Maybe all you did is took a shower today. You took a
Exactly.
shower. Maybe you changed from one your daytime pajamas to your nighttime pajamas. I mean, change. If change was so easy, we would all do it. And I think having an understanding that there is really the change cycle is the grief cycle. They mirror upon it. There's lots of research to support it. And so we're grieving for things. And how do you help yourself get through something is really helping other people too.
Hmm.
And just realizing, if all I have in me today is to change my pajamas, you changed your pajamas. I am so grateful I have another pair of pajamas that are clean.
That's right.
it,
That's right.
it's it's really peeling it back and being grateful for what we do have, because we can easily get caught up in that spin. Anybody can. The whole kind of woe is me. But that's a choice. It can go up and be a positive spin. And when you're feeling good, you can record yourself. You can make a message to yourself and play it. Reminding yourself, you know, you did great today.
Hmm.
You changed out of your pajamas into your other pajamas, or maybe you didn't, right? Maybe you've been in the same pajamas for 3 days and haven't brushed your teeth, and your kids are lucky that they got Lucky Charms or something. All right, well, you know what? You're together. You wanted more family time. This is it. Doesn't have to be perfect. We got to let go of that perfectionist. You know, we have to believe in our beliefs, and then even which ones are limiting us, what we can believe in our own vision. And you know, maybe we needed to slow down. I know I've been coloring a lot more. That's one of my mindfulness practices. I've been getting on Zoom with friends and they're doing a puzzle and I'm coloring and somebody else is just wanting to be there, right? Like
Hmm.
having these little reunions on Zoom, on FaceTime, on.
And it feels so good because you're right. And I've got that on the screen there, but the change cycle is the same thing as the grief cycle, because we have to accept that it's actually happening to us,
Mhm,
right? And we have to accept that there's nothing that we can do about it.
mhm. Yeah.
And that's really a difficult space for everybody right now, because there's a lot of distrust, and is this really happening? Do I really have to follow these rules? Is this really as serious as what we think it is? And so your message is so profound, Deb. It's so important for people to know that the ones that are helping in the front lines, They are taking such a risk, and this is getting accelerated. We've been preparing for what's coming.
Mhm.
And so we've really got to just stay steadfast, and figure out what that's going to look like for our families and our communities, because we really need each other right now. We really need each other to show up as leaders, to do what we have to do for each other.
Yeah, yeah. It's, you lean on me today, and tomorrow I might need to lean on you. Or, you know, I think it's a wonderful time to really, like, do we know who's in our neighborhood?
Hmm.
Have we paused in our busy lives to know? Maybe they've probably have experienced something pretty amazing in their lives,
Hmm.
and we can take the time and listen to those and help them. Like, it's it's our time to shine. It's all of our humanity's time to really connect with each other. Make connections for life. Everyday leaders, right? It's every day. It's not a title. It's how we show up for each other. If we all walk towards what's happening, then we're all in it together. Maybe we can't bump, but we can definitely did those a few things today. Where your elbows are bumping. You can still do that. You can virtually hug people. You can talk. It's amazing, the video. Even on our phones, right? You don't have to text. You can actually do a voice.
That's
You can
right.
do a messenger. You can just, it's voice. You don't have to text. You can actually hear somebody's voice. And isn't that wonderful?
It's a great strategy. It's a great thing, for parents and grandparents, and do the little video, but sending the voice text, even saying, "Yes, I'll be there," or "Yes, I can do that," or "Yes, I got your message." It is different. It throws you off guard because it is not common. And so doing those things that are uncommon to make people feel like you care. It's just that little extra, it's that little extra.
Yeah, because if you've lost somebody, or maybe you've been tragically have lost somebody during this time in our lives, is that, what do you miss? You miss the sound of their voice.
Mm.
You miss how they made you feel. You may not remember what they said, right? But you will always remember how they feel. And so in our rush, this is the time to really live those moments, be very present when we're out. If you're buying a few groceries, why don't we play it forward?
Yep.
If you can, do it, because a lot of people are affected, and, um, they nobody expected it, right? Our economy was great. Everything was going good. And now it's a little sideways, and it's okay. You can write a letter to grief too. You can write a letter. It's okay. It's healthy to feel those emotions. We don't want to bury them. We can feel them. We can journal to them. We can be upset about something. And then, set a timer and say, okay, I'm going to give myself 10 minutes. I don't feel bad about myself. And then I'm going to pick up and figure out, now, who do I need to reach out to?
Love it. I'm going to put that on the screen here. Um, I love that. Write a letter to grief. Get that out, right?
Yeah.
Get that out. So many things that we think just, oh, I shouldn't feel this way. It's selfish to feel this way. It's overwhelming. And I should just make it. Everybody else is just sucking it up, right? They're dealing with it. But it's not easy. It's not easy for anybody. But it always, right? We compare ourselves and we say, oh, but they've got it together. Look, they're a single mom, 3 kids. They worked at a restaurant. Look at how they're facing this. They're they're just taking it. They're figuring out ways to give into the community. How are they making it? And it's those kinds of struggles that are so encouraging, because we see they're just stepping in and saying, you know what, things, the universe vibrates back to you when you give off good. and you want to do good and you show up to do for others, the universe does come back to you.
It does. And it's been vibrating like crazy. And you're gonna be taken care of. You do what you need to do and make steps, even as small steps, right? It could be something that seems so small, but it can make a huge difference. These teachers that are really trying to be creative, right? Like all of a sudden they have all these precious lives, usually what, 30, 25, 30 in a classroom. That's a lot of lives. And not all those children have Wi-Fi or a laptop, or maybe they get their food from the school.
Hmm.
Like,
These restaurant
and
owners that are stepping up saying, we'll make the food for the kids,
yeah,
right?
and who's helping the teachers too? That's a lot to, for them. And, how can you support that teacher? Like my kids are grown out of the house. Now we're just fur baby parents. And which is a lot too, if you can hear them whining right now. But so I don't have those the responsibilities that I had for so many years of doing that. But I so that means I probably have a little bit extra. I probably don't need that second helping of something. So who can I go bundle this up and leave it at their door, even if it's one little meal or
Hmm.
it's a little thing of oatmeal. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. I think it's the kindness of,
Hmm.
we can show kindness. Kindness matters, and
Kindness
it's
does
the
matter.
small little things of how we show up. And for me, that's what leadership is. It's the small things. Maybe when's the last time somebody wrote, the mail's still working? How about all those people who have impacted your life, who are still here? Can you write them a letter and just simply tell them thank you? What a great way to brighten somebody's day, to get something in the mail right now,
Hmm. Absolutely.
and just thank you. Thank you for, and maybe you won't ever see that person that you passed 6 feet away from you in the grocery store again, right? Um, Maybe you won't, but you can surely smile at them through your mask
Hmm.
and wave at people as you drive by. And I think you'd mentioned the teddy bear thing in the window, right? I've also seen where seniors have like the color systems with the date written on them, the red and the green. Like they really need some interaction,
Hmm.
and maybe that's not in somebody's neighborhood. Maybe that's writing up a hand flyer on some piece of paper
Right.
and passing it around for people that you know or don't know, and saying, this is my address. And
Finding out, right? Just taking care of our own. That's
yeah,
what I think. I've seen some of these. There was an artist today that was singing beautiful for Easter, just preparation for Easter, and seeing the video of the people in the neighborhood in their chairs out in their driveways, like, I think it used to be a long time ago when people didn't have so many places to go because there weren't all these businesses open. And it takes us back to thinking that's what we're doing. We're slowing down now. We just have to be really careful because there is something that you know, can make us sick. So we have to be smart about it. But we definitely need to just think into what can it look like? What do we want it to look like? Because you're right, we do have that time right now. We have the opportunity to think what we want. What do we want? And if you're scared, if you're looking for direction, if you're looking for someone just to lean into your vision, even if you don't know what that looks like, our encouragement would be get a journal out first and just start writing about this process. You know, day 31 of COVID-19. What does that look like in your life? Because this will pass. This is not permanent. We won't go back to what was normal a month ago. It's never going to go back to what it was because you have that sense of knowledge. You're going to have a sense of, a little bit of anxiety probably the first time you're in a crowd of people, right? And you don't have a mask on. But we just have to be a little bit smarter, and you have to know that it's what's inside of you that's changing. And I love how our mentors continue to remind us of that. It's you can do so many things, and so many things can happen on the outside. But just remembering what you've taught us today, Deb, is it just constantly be kind on the inside. Show up. Understand that your journey is teaching you how to become a better leader, a better person, and really show up for others. Show up for those and be a leader about it, and not I have to, it's a drudgery. It's your honor to be able, as Chick-fil-A would say, it's your pleasure, right? It's your pleasure to be able to do that.
It is that you're blessed enough, that you're healthy, that you're able, you know. I saw that movie a couple months ago, which was so encouraging. And granted, it was a battle movie, but it was about the guy who signed up and had different views than others. And then he's the one who went to that Japanese island and saved all those lives. That just, I can't think of the name of it, but he's just a very simple man and knew he wanted to take care of others and did all of that, serving others. And that's what he did. He just knew. And it doesn't have to be so dramatic for us to be able to do that. It can be just taking the time. We've also done like virtual dance parties on Zoom or lives, or I have a friend who's in California who did one, and she's in California. They did it on their yard, and they put the music out, and everybody came out in their yards, and they were doing the dancing. I've seen friends renew their vows this week in front of their house, where their other neighbor was way over here and renewed their vows for them.
Wow.
I've seen, humanity. Isn't it wonderful?
Mm-hmm. It is wonderful.
So yeah, break out the journal.
Yeah, break out the journal. Break out the journal. Deb, I just can't thank you enough for coming on and just sharing your heart with us. I know it's just really, sometimes we don't feel like what we have to say is important or has any value because we're just living it. We're just living what we do. We're showing up every day. We're just getting through. We're getting by. We're doing what we know. See, your doggy even says so. But what I want to say to you is your journey is so important because there's so many people that need to hear this. Of just encouragement, stopping something that you're working so hard on because you have to show up somewhere else because you've grown into being able to add value to that space. And it's so important right now. We need you on the front lines to help the healthcare workers. And we need you to show up as a leader because you've been prepared for this.
I have been prepared. And if anybody's ever questioned themselves, you just got to keep walking through it. Feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yep.
Know that you just have to take the next divine step. And it's going to lead you somewhere more beautiful than you would have ever imagined.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so true.
Ever imagined. How would I have met you if I hadn't taken that step?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I had no idea how beautiful it would be. So thank you so much. I'm so blessed.
Oh,
So blessed to have you in my tribe.
ditto. It's been amazing because you start to build that and you realize it's that peace. You're on that same journey. And so, for people that feel afraid right now and they're like, I don't fit in, I'm not with the right people, I'm afraid, these people are making me fearful, right?
Hmm.
It's a real challenge for you right now to reach out or find other people that are going to inspire you, but they're all out there, right? Sometimes
They
it's
are.
just going to be really maybe a little bit more challenging right now,
Hmm.
but do it for you. That's the thing. Do it for you because you do matter. You are important. Your journey is not going to stop just because of COVID 19. There are some great things that are going to happen through this. So,
Yeah, and you can look back. Life's still going to happen every day. So would you rather look back in 6 months and go, look, I didn't realize I knew that about myself,
yep,
and it's still 6 months forward. So
that's right. Time's not going to go away,
no,
right?
no.
Ugh,
So we just have to take that next little step. So what can you do? Maybe it's simple. One of the things I love to do too is if they don't believe it, go find a mirror and look at yourself in the eyes and just tell yourself, I love you, you have value. And just really look at yourself in the eyes. And it will probably make you tear up. It takes time to get comfortable with it, and if you're really brave, be a little bit like a baby because you got to love all of it, right? No matter where you are. And um, saying, I love you, telling yourself, you know, I have value, and looking yourself straight in the eyes. And look, you can see all the way down to your soul, and your soul will feel it, and it will bring all the way back up, and it will change your vibration. It will change who you're attracting to you. It will start to feel like, yes. Just keep looking at it after 30 days, doing it every day, and you will start to feel different because you do matter.
mhm.
So thank you. So if somebody isn't feeling like they matter, it's a simple exercise that's not so simple. So if you find you do it a couple days and then it's too hard, then pause and then do it the next day. It doesn't have to be perfect. You could miss a week and it can't. We just we can't stop ourselves from being perfect. So thank you. So glad I could be here. It's just you're so delightful.
Oh, this was so wonderful. This was so wonderful. So many gold nuggets, and we just appreciate you. You're one of thousands and thousands and thousands of people that are just giving up what you know is safe to go out there and fight this battle for us, and you're doing it because you have to, because it's within you, and you were designed for this purpose. And so thank you for sharing everything tonight. And I'm going to put this last quote on here that you just gave us because I think it's really important. Looking in the mirror for 30 days and tell yourself that you love yourself. Say it. I love myself. I love you. Every bit of it. Because you're probably going to be quarantined for at least another 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. And so if you can start the strategy right now, you're going to feel a lot more positive vibrations. And everybody in your household should be doing this. So it's a great challenge to leave us with, Deb, is to try this and journal about it, right? Journal how that makes you feel and how this is going to change how you feel about yourself over these next 30 days.
Yes.
Great exercise. Thank you, my dear. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thanks for coming on tonight. I really appreciate you. And be safe, okay? Be
I
safe
will.
out there.
Doing what I can.
Thank
Thanks.
thank you for being an everyday leader always.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.